So we have this deal in principle in Congress right now. It remains to be seen how this evolves from here. It does not include the Dreamers, but yourself and other tech executives, business executives have signed this letter. Lay out the business case for more permanent legislation around this group of people.
We do, Morgan, and it's not just tech executives. That letter is signed by people like Mary Barra at General Motors, Arnie Sorensen at Marriott, Doug McMillan at Walmart. It's many of the big businesses in the United States saying, we know these young people. They're terrific. They came here as small children. I'm the co-founder of a scholarship fund that has 3,400 Dreamer students. The average one came here when they were 4 years old. I believe in enforcing the laws. If you go back 50 years, I'm actually an ex-police officer. I've arrested felons and convicted them and sent them to jail. But I never arrested a 4-year-old, and I think a judge would throw that case out in a minute. They came here as very small children. They have never been convicted of a felony or a serious misdemeanor, those with this Obama administration program called DACA. If they are convicted of such a crime, they lose DACA. What do they want? They want to stay here, to study, and to work, and to help this country grow. And that's why executives like the ones you named and others are speaking up and saying it is time to do something for them. I heard your wonderful reporter Elon saying that they're not in this deal once again. And it just makes me very sad. The DREAM Act was first introduced in 2001. Poll after poll, including your own NBC poll, says 80 or 85% of Americans support it. But once again, nothing's being done, and we count on the leaders of Congress and the president, all of whom have spoken up for the Dreamers, including President Trump, to do something this year.
Hey, Don, I'm thinking back to an op-ed. It was in the Washington Post prior to the shutdown, and it was urging Democrats to exchange a DACA deal for some wall funding. Obviously didn't work out that way. Was that a missed opportunity?
Well, from the Dreamers' point of view, it was. That op-ed was the first op-ed in our lives, co-authored by me and former Speaker Newt Gingrich. So just as a way of underlining that the Dreamers have a lot of Republican support as well as Democratic support. So the president at one point offered a chance to do something for the Dreamers. And then the bill he sent up didn't seem to be written by somebody who'd read the president's speech and took back much of what the president wanted to give. But yes, it was a missed opportunity, Carl, and another one. We put too much pressure on these Dreamers. They want a chance to go to school, to eventually go to work, and the opportunity for permanence here is offered to them again and again and then snatched away. It's too bad.
It's certainly a big issue, and I'm sure one we're going to continue to talk about. Donna, I want to shift gears a little bit. Current owner of the Washington Post, yeah. Jeff Bezos, obviously in the limelight right now, for better or worse, given this controversy with the National Enquirer and AMI. In his letter in Medium, he brought up his ownership of the Post, basically said it made him a target. Is he right?
Well, Jeff's letter in Medium published a series of exchanges between him and lawyers for the National Enquirer, and they brought up the Washington Post. They were telling him what the Washington Post could and couldn't do in its reporting, and that's always a pretty bad idea. A lot of people have tried to do that over the years. None so far has succeeded. And I'm not speaking here about Jeff's personal life, but as far as the way he reacted to what I'm not using, I'm careful as an ex-cop, but in layman's terms, this looked like an extortion or blackmail attempt, and I thought Jeff handled it admirably.
You know, it's a tricky situation because on the one hand, you had billionaire Peter Thiel go after Gawker, and now you have this situation between Bezos and the National Enquirer, where I'm sure more will be revealed. Do you think in an era where press freedom is under attack that we should support Bezos or wait for more details to come out?
People going back all through history have tried to find clever ways to attack news organizations like the Washington Post and like your organization that publish things or broadcast things that powerful people didn't like. And I think people talk right now as if the Trump administration is the first time that presidents or powerful people got mad at the news media. Democrats and Republicans both get mad at the news media. It goes back to the start of our country. They always have. And one of Jeff's predecessors, Katharine Graham, my mother, could tell you a lot about interesting ways that governments find to apply pressure when they want a newspaper not to report on something. But the Washington Post is going to report on the news as it in a fair way.
Don, whether it's Bezos in the Post, Jobs in the Atlantic, Time and Benioff, there's an op-ed in the Boston Globe today, an open letter to Howard Schultz advising him not to run for president, but to instead buy a slate of newspapers. I just wonder if you think the American media, the modern American media, is relying too much on billionaires to keep it afloat.
Well, if you go back, 200 years, somebody like Ben Franklin, a printer, could start his own newspaper in the 1740s and 50s. But in the 19th and 20th century, most American newspapers have been owned by people of some wealth. When my grandfather, Eugene Meyer, bought the Washington Post in 1933, he was buying it after a career in Wall Street. He was quite a wealthy person in his day. Good thing he was, because he lost money on the Post for the next 21 years before it became profitable. And Mr. Pulitzer, Mr. Hearst, the most famous publishers of our time, Carl, you used to work on the Wall Street Journal, and I think the people who owned that were pretty well off. So this isn't new, but it is a new and different set of owners. And some of them will find they don't like it and will move on. And some of the ones you named will turn out to be terrific owners for the media, I have no doubt.
Now, Don, you were also on the Facebook board for 6 years until 2015. You came out last year publicly to defend Mark Zuckerberg in the midst of the Cambridge Analytica scandal. We've seen more revelations in terms of, data and privacy and what's arguably misuse of those. How do you think about it now in terms of Facebook and everything that's happened over the past year?
Good questions, Morgan. I don't want to say for a minute that Facebook has done nothing wrong. They have done plenty that they themselves have said. Mark has said, Sheryl Sandberg has said, the board has said. They've made plenty of mistakes. I also think, just as somebody, I'm no longer an insider. I haven't been on the Facebook board since 2015. But I see on my own Facebook page evidence that they are working diligently to fix a lot of things that have been wrong. It's a lot easier to look at my own privacy settings, see who is seeing information I may post. And they are making dramatic changes around election security. They're requiring anybody who puts a political ad to say who it is who paid for it, allow them to see other ads that user put up. I think Facebook is doing a ton. And the people I know at Facebook are terrific. I admire them. I trust them. Whatever else is done in this country, the people at Facebook will be working to fix their problems.